What if I told you that the world around us is filled with voices we've never truly heard? Beneath the rustle of leaves, beyond the crash of waves, and hidden in the silence of the savanna, animals are speaking to one another in ways more complex than we ever imagined. Elephants whisper to each other with sounds too deep for human ears. Dolphins call each other by unique names, like old friends greeting across the ocean. Prairie dogs, the small creatures we often overlook, can describe a predator's size, shape, and even the color of its fur with astonishing precision. To us, it may seem like noise, but to them, it's a sophisticated language of survival, emotion, and identity. For centuries, humans believed we were the only species capable of real communication, but now, science is uncovering the truth. Animals have always been talking. We just weren't listening. Imagine unlocking the dictionary of the wild. What would we discover? Could we one day hold a conversation with a whale? Could we ask a parrot what it truly thinks, or a gorilla how it feels? This is not science fiction. It's the cutting edge of animal behavior research. Welcome to the secret language of the wild. By the end of this journey, you may never hear the natural world the same way again. If this journey into the secret language of animals has opened your eyes to a world you never knew existed, imagine what else we'll uncover together. From the deepest oceans to the densest jungles, the animal kingdom is full of mysteries waiting to be heard and understood. By subscribing, you're not just following a channel. You're joining a community of curious minds who believe every animal has a story, a voice, and a truth worth discovering. And if you found even one moment in this video that made you pause and wonder, give it a like. It helps us share these untold stories with the world. Every click, every share, every comment brings us closer to amplifying the voices of creatures who cannot speak for themselves. Together, we can change the way we see and hear our fellow beings on this planet. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep listening to the wild. From the moment life first began, survival has always depended on communication. The earliest organisms send out chemical signals to find food, warn of danger, or attract mates. Over millions of years, these primitive signals evolved into ever more complex forms of expression. Chirps, howls, songs, dances, and even colors flashing across a body. Today, every corner of the animal kingdom is alive with conversation. Birds call to announce territory, bees dance to map out flowers, whales sing across entire oceans, and even trees release chemical warnings to their neighbors. Communication is not a luxury of human speech. It is a necessity woven into the fabric of life itself. And the incredible diversity of these methods reveals a universal truth. To exist, to survive, and to connect, every living being must find a way to make its voice heard. In the animal kingdom, language may not always take the form of words, but it carries meaning just as profound. Listening to these voices gives us a rare chance to understand animals not as background characters in our world, but as individuals in their own right, speaking, signaling, and feeling in ways that science is only beginning to fully grasp. Birds are among nature's most accomplished communicators, filling the skies with melodies that are far more than random notes. Each song, each call serves a purpose. Some songs mark territory, broadcasting a warning to rivals that a patch of forest, field, or tree is already claimed. Others are love songs, delicate performances designed to impress potential mates. Take the nightingale, whose complex repertoire can last for hours, each phrase carefully woven to show off endurance and skill. Or the lyrebird of Australia, capable of mimicking not only other birds but also chainsaws, camera shutters, and even human voices, an astonishing display of both creativity and adaptation. Scientists have discovered that birds don't just sing, they hold conversations. Parents call to their chicks before they even hatch, shaping recognition inside the egg. Flocks of starlings use subtle wing beats and chirps to coordinate their breathtaking murmurations. And in parrots, ravens, and crows, calls can even take on symbolic meaning, identifying individuals by names. Birdsong is a vivid reminder that language is not limited to human tongues. It is carried on wings, across forests, and through generations. Each chirp, whistle, and trill is part of a complex acoustic tapestry, a living language of survival, love, and connection. Beneath the rolling surface of the ocean lies one of the most extraordinary soundscapes on Earth. Whales and dolphins, the great singers of the sea, have evolved a form of communication that travels vast distances where light cannot reach. Humpback whales, for example, produce songs that can last up to 20 minutes, repeating in cycles that echo for months. These haunting compositions are not random. They contain repeating themes, shifting patterns, and even regional dialects. In fact, a population of humpbacks in one ocean basin can invent a new song, and within a few years, whales across thousands of miles will adopt it, like cultural transmission in humans. Dolphins, on the other hand, speak in rapid clicks, whistles, and bursts of broadband sounds. Their clicks act as sonar, allowing them to see their world in echoes, while whistles serve as social signals. Remarkably, dolphins develop signature whistles, unique sound identities akin to names that companions use to call out to one another even years after separation. What makes these marine voices even more extraordinary is their intelligence. Dolphins coordinate hunts through intricate call and response, while orcas pass down vocal traditions through matrilineal pods, creating cultural clans defined not by borders, but by sound. To swim in their world is to enter a realm where language is fluid, melodic, and deeply tied to memory. The ocean may seem silent to us, but to them, it is alive with conversations that stretch across miles, generations, and perhaps even emotions we are only beginning to decode. When we think of complex communication, we often picture whales, dolphins, or primates. But some of the most intricate signaling systems belong to creatures so small we rarely notice them. Insects. Bees, for instance, don't just buzz aimlessly. They perform a highly precise dance, the waggle dance, to tell their hive mates exactly where nectar can be found. The angle of the dance shows the direction relative to the sun, and the length of the waggle reveals distance. With nothing but movement and rhythm, a single bee can guide thousands of others to a hidden food source miles away. Ants, on the other hand, rely on chemical communication, pheromones. A foraging ant lays down a scent trail as it walks, leaving behind a map others can follow. If the trail leads to food, more ants reinforce it, creating highways of information invisible to us but vital to the colony. Their system allows them to coordinate massive collective tasks, building nests, defending territory, or transporting resources, with no central leader. And then there are fireflies, who turn their bodies into living lanterns. Their bioluminescent flashes are more than just beautiful. They're coded love songs. Each species of firefly has a unique flash pattern, and males signal to females in rhythmic pulses. In some species, females even mimic the signals of others to lure unsuspecting males close. Communication as deception. Insects may not have voices, but through light, scent, and movement, they weave invisible conversations that shape entire ecosystems. If whales are the singers of the sea, then bees, ants, and fireflies are the architects of a secret, silent language, one that proves communication is not just about sound, but about every sense life can harness. Elephants may appear silent as they walk across the savanna, but in reality, they're holding conversations all the time, just in a way humans can barely detect. These giants communicate using infrasound, extremely low-frequency rumbles that travel through both the air and the ground. Unlike the trumpeting blasts we recognize, most of their calls vibrate below the threshold of human hearing. These rumbles can carry for several kilometers, allowing elephants to stay connected even when separated by vast distances. A mother can reassure her calf, or a matriarch can signal the entire herd to move toward water, all without ever raising her trunk. Scientists have even recorded elephants warning others of approaching predators like lions, or calling out when it's time to migrate. But what makes their communication even more extraordinary is how they feel it. Elephants possess sensitive pads on their feet and trunks that pick up vibrations through the ground. In a sense, they don't just hear sound, they feel it. A distant rumble can ripple through the earth, and an elephant miles away will pause, lift its foot, and respond to the unseen caller. This tactile language is essential for their survival. It helps coordinate herds, strengthens family bonds, and even aids in finding mates. During mating season, males and musk can detect the calls of receptive females from miles away, drawn to them by a sound we can't hear, but they can sense. The elephant's hidden voice is a reminder that not all communication is loud, visible, or obvious. Sometimes it's deep, subtle, and hidden in the very vibrations of the earth itself. A language of giants carried in rumbles beneath our feet. For many people, the dawn chorus of birds is one of nature's most beautiful symphonies. But what may sound like cheerful melodies to us is, in fact, a complex language filled with regional variations. Just as humans have accents and dialects, so too do many bird species. Take the white-crowned sparrow. In California, researchers discovered that sparrows from different neighborhoods sing slightly different versions of the same song. Tiny variations in pitch, rhythm, or phrasing that act like vocal fingerprints. A sparrow from San Francisco sounds different from one in Los Angeles, even though they belong to the same species. Young birds learn their songs by listening carefully to nearby adults, just as children pick up accents from their communities. But these dialects aren't just about identity. They carry survival value. Some variations signal territory ownership, warning rival males to stay away. Others attract mates, with females often preferring songs that match their own local dialect. In other words, singing in the wrong accent can cost a bird the chance to reproduce. Nightjars, wrens, and even parrots exhibit similar vocal traditions. And these dialects can evolve over time, just like human languages. A song that once dominated a population might fade, replaced by a new, trending tune that sweeps across generations of birds. Birdsong, then, isn't just instinct, it's culture. It's proof that animals, like us, learn and pass down traditions, shaping their communication in ways that reflect both biology and environment. Each dawn chorus is more than music. It's a living conversation, passed from one bird to the next, echoing across forests and skies. In the vast blue expanse of the ocean, communication takes on an entirely different form. Dolphins, some of the most intelligent creatures in the sea, have evolved a remarkable way to stay connected: signature whistles. These whistles are quite literally names. Every dolphin develops its own unique whistle pattern during infancy. This acoustic ID tag functions much like our names do. It allows other dolphins to recognize, call to, and even reunite with specific individuals. A mother dolphin and her calf, for example, can stay in contact over long distances simply by exchanging their signature whistles. What's fascinating is that dolphins don't just produce their own signature. They can mimic the whistles of others. But unlike parrots that mimic for fun, dolphins seem to do this with purpose. By copying another dolphin's whistle, they're calling specifically to that individual, like shouting across the waves, "Hey, I'm talking to you." This ability suggests not only recognition, but intentionality, an understanding that each dolphin is an individual with its own identity. Some scientists argue this is evidence of a kind of self-awareness, perhaps even the foundation of a dolphin language. Groups of dolphins also produce whistles in synchrony, a chorus that strengthens social bonds, coordinates hunts, or warns of predators. It's communication layered with meaning, identity, and culture. When we listen to the ocean's hidden voices, we realize that beneath the waves exists a society where names are sung, friendships are called across miles of water, and individuality is celebrated in sound. Dolphins don't just speak to survive, they speak to connect. If dolphins are the conversationalists of the ocean, then whales are its poets. Humpback whales, in particular, are famous for their hauntingly beautiful songs, long, structured vocalizations that can last for hours and travel for hundreds of miles beneath the sea. These songs aren't random noises. They are highly organized with repeating phrases, verses, and even a kind of rhythm. What makes them extraordinary is their dynamic nature. Whale songs change over time. Entire populations of humpbacks may adopt new themes or drop old ones, almost like cultural trends in human music. Scientists have observed that in one season, a population in the Pacific might sing a particular melody, and by the next, the entire group has shifted to a different composition. Sometimes these songs even spread across oceans, with one group of whales picking up the tune of another thousands of miles away. But why do they sing? The primary theory is that whale songs are part of mating rituals, males producing elaborate vocal displays to attract females or compete with rivals. Yet, there's a growing suspicion that these songs may hold much more meaning. Some researchers believe songs could help whales navigate, coordinate migrations, or maintain social cohesion across vast distances where sight and touch are impossible. What's certain is that whale songs are one of the most sophisticated examples of non-human communication known to science. They blend function with beauty, biology with culture. When you listen to a whale song, you're not just hearing a call. You're eavesdropping on an ancient conversation that stretches across the oceans of our planet. If humpback whales are the singers of the sea, then sperm whales are its coders. Instead of long, melodic songs, sperm whales communicate through rapid bursts of clicks, known as codas. These clicks are not just random pulses. They are precise, patterned, and astonishingly complex. Each click is like a digital signal, and when grouped together, they form codas that vary in length, rhythm, and tempo. Scientists have discovered that sperm whale clans, large social groups spanning thousands of miles, share distinct dialects of codas. In other words, whales in the Caribbean may speak with a noticeably different click pattern than those in the Pacific. This suggests something extraordinary: culture. Just as human languages vary between regions, sperm whale codas appear to be passed down through generations, forming identity markers that define clan membership. Even more fascinating is the possibility that these codas convey information about social roles, navigation, or emotional states. Some codas may function like names, identifying specific whales. Others may coordinate movement across the deep ocean, where sight and smell are useless. Imagine this. In the black, crushing depths of the sea, where a whale might be miles from its companions, codas act like invisible lifelines, weaving together families spread across vast waters. To us, they sound like nothing more than clicks, but as sperm whales, they may be entire conversations filled with meaning. And here's the most thrilling idea. Researchers are now experimenting with artificial intelligence to decode these codas, much like the Rosetta Stone once unlocked human languages. If successful, we may be standing on the edge of the first real interspecies dialogue in history. When we finally understand what sperm whales are saying, will they greet us as distant kin, or simply continue speaking in the ancient tongue of the deep, never needing our translation? While whales sing across oceans and elephants rumble through the ground, honeybees perform one of the most elegant and precise forms of animal communication ever discovered: the waggle dance. Inside the darkness of a hive, where vision is limited, foragers returning from a successful trip carry more than nectar or pollen. They bring information, detailed instructions for their sisters on where to find the next feast. And they deliver it not with sound, but with movement. The waggle dance is a figure-8 pattern traced by the bee. In the center waggle run, the bee shakes her body vigorously while moving forward. The angle of this run corresponds directly to the angle of the food source relative to the sun. The duration of the waggle indicates distance. The longer the waggle, the farther away the food. It is quite literally a map written in motion. What makes this so remarkable is the precision. Bees can guide their sisters to a patch of flowers miles away, across a landscape they've never seen, using nothing more than the language of vibration and geometry. The dance is broadcast in near total darkness, yet every bee watching understands it perfectly. Even more incredible, the waggle dance is flexible. As the sun moves across the sky, bees adjust their angle, recalibrating their instructions in real time. They also communicate quality. waggle with more vigor for rich nectar, less enthusiasm for sparse sources. It is not just data. It is emphasis, urgency, even persuasion. In this way, honeybees transform their hive into a living superorganism, tens of thousands of individuals united by shared information. To us, it may look like a simple shimmy, but to the bees, it is a lifeline, ensuring the survival of the colony. This extraordinary dance reminds us that communication does not require words or voices. Sometimes, the most powerful messages are delivered through rhythm, movement, and shared instinct. If honeybees dance with precision, ants rule with chemistry. For creatures so small, ants have created one of the most sophisticated communication networks on Earth, an invisible internet made entirely of smell. Ants don't speak, sing, or waggle. Instead, they release chemical signals called pheromones. Each pheromone carries a message: follow me, danger ahead, queen nearby, intruder detected. These molecules are laid down on surfaces or carried through the air, forming trails and signals that can last minutes or hours. Picture a lone forager ant stumbling upon a crumb. She doesn't keep the treasure to herself. Instead, she races home, leaving behind a trail of pheromones like breadcrumbs. Other ants detect the scent with their sensitive antennae and follow it, reinforcing the trail with their own chemical signature. Soon, what began as one ant's discovery transforms into a highway of hundreds, all marching in perfect coordination toward the prize. But pheromones are not just about food. Alarm pheromones can mobilize an entire colony in seconds, sending workers rushing to defend their nest. Others mark territories, distinguish between friend and foe, or even signal caste duties within a colony. For ants, chemistry is language, law, and strategy all at once. What is most astonishing is how this chemical communication scales. With no central commander, ant colonies function as unified superorganisms, achieving feats no single ant could. They build bridges out of their own bodies, organize farms of fungus, and wage wars with rival colonies, guided by nothing more than scents too faint for us to detect. To humans, pheromone trails may be invisible, but to ants, they're glowing highways, road signs, and emergency alarms rolled into one. In their world, words are not spoken, they are smelled. And in the silence of the forest floor, this language shapes entire empires. When dusk falls and the world grows quiet, the night begins to shimmer, not with stars above, but with tiny lanterns hovering close to the earth. Fireflies, also known as lightning bugs, turn darkness into conversation through the language of light. Each firefly species has its own rhythm, like a coded song written in flashes. A male will signal in the air with a precise pattern: blink, pause, blink. If a female of the same species is perched on a leaf nearby, she answers back with her own glow, perfectly timed. This dialogue guides them to each other across the night, a courtship told not in sound, but in pulses of brilliance. But light is not always used for love. In some species, it's a warning: I taste bad, don't eat me. Predators like bats and frogs quickly learn that glowing insects often come with a bitter lesson. And in a darker twist, a few fireflies are tricksters. They mimic the signals of other species, luring hopeful males closer, only to turn them into dinner. The same glow that can attract a mate can also seal a fatal fate. Perhaps the most breathtaking display comes when thousands gather together. In forests of Southeast Asia or riverbanks in the U.S., entire swarms begin to flash in unison, creating waves of synchronized light. No leader commands this dance. It emerges from each insect simply adjusting to its neighbors until the whole landscape pulses as one. To human eyes, it looks like magic. To the fireflies, it's a powerful chorus of communication, woven from light itself. This shimmering dialogue reminds us that language can take many forms. For fireflies, every spark in the night sky is a word, an invitation, a warning, or a trick. A reminder that even the smallest creatures carry entire conversations in the simplest of gestures, a single flash in the dark. Beneath the waves, where sunlight fades and silence rules, the oceans carry voices, voices so vast and powerful that they can travel for hundreds of miles. These are the songs of whales, some of the most haunting and complex forms of communication on Earth. Humpback whales are the ocean's composers. Their songs can last for hours, weaving themes that rise and fall like musical symphonies. What makes them even more remarkable is that all males within a population sing the same song. And over time, that song changes, phrases are added, melodies altered, entire sections transformed. It's as though the whole ocean is writing a symphony together, constantly evolving, constantly shared. But songs are not just art. They carry meaning. Some are courtship calls directed at potential mates. Others may serve as declarations of territory or signals of strength to rivals. And the deep, resonant calls of blue whales, the largest animals ever to exist, can carry across entire ocean basins, vibrating through water like a living heartbeat of the sea. Whale communication is not limited to songs. Clicks, whistles, and pulse calls form a vast vocabulary, especially among dolphins and orcas. These sounds can identify individuals, coordinate hunts, or call calves back to their mothers. In fact, dolphins even have something akin to names, unique signature whistles that function like an identity tag, recognized by their pod. Yet this rich oceanic language faces disruption. Modern shipping lanes, seismic surveys, and naval sonar fill the seas with noise pollution. Imagine trying to carry a conversation at a rock concert. Voices drowned out, signals distorted. For whales, this can mean lost mates, separated families, and broken traditions of song. Still, when you stand on a quiet shore and listen to recordings of whale songs, it's hard not to feel that they are more than signals. They are poetry in sound, a reminder that communication can be both functional and beautiful. In the shimmering blue of coastal waters, dolphins glide with astonishing grace. They're not only agile hunters and playful swimmers, they are master communicators, wielding a vocal system that rivals our own in sophistication. Among the most extraordinary discoveries is the dolphin's signature whistle. Each individual develops a unique whistle, much like a human name, usually crafted in their first year of life. Mothers whistle their calves' sound repeatedly, ensuring it becomes imprinted, a kind of underwater identity badge. These whistles aren't random. They're stable, recognizable, and used across decades, even if pods separate. When dolphins meet, they exchange signature whistles, almost like saying, "Hello, I'm here." If one dolphin whistles another's unique call, the other often responds in recognition, confirming that these sounds function like names. Even more fascinating, dolphins remember these whistles for years, showing a memory capacity on par with elephants and primates. But whistles are only part of their communication. Dolphins also produce rapid clicks used for echolocation, sonar signals that map their environment with incredible precision. They combine whistles, clicks, and burst pulses into complex sequences, which researchers are only beginning to decode. It may be a language where context, rhythm, and sound layering carry layered meaning, as if one sentence contains multiple streams of information at once. Some scientists believe dolphins could even share something resembling cultural traditions. Different pods may develop unique dialects, hunting calls, or cooperative signals passed down through generations. This suggests their communication is not just functional, but deeply social, binding groups into tight-knit families. And yet, as with whales, the modern ocean challenges their voices. Noise pollution disrupts their ability to locate food, find companions, and even call their calves. Their language, so finely tuned to the sea. In the buzzing heart of a beehive, where darkness cloaks the chambers and thousands of wings hum in unison, lies one of the most extraordinary communication systems in the natural world, the honeybee waggle dance. Discovered by Austrian scientist Karl von Frisch in the mid-20th century, this dance is far more than random movement. It is a living map, a form of symbolic language where the messenger bee encodes distance, direction, and even the quality of a food source into rhythmic steps. When a forager returns from discovering nectar-rich flowers, she climbs onto the vertical surface of the comb. There, she begins a figure-8 pattern. At the center of the loop, she waggles her abdomen in a straight line. The angle of this waggle, measured against gravity, corresponds to the angle between the sun and the food's location. The length of the waggle run communicates distance. The longer the waggle, the farther the flowers. The intensity and vigor of the movement convey how rich the source is. Imagine it. Inside a pitch-black hive, thousands of bees crowd around, touching the dancer with their antennae, feeling the vibrations, memorizing every detail. Without words, without sound, the hive receives coordinates for a foraging expedition. And soon, a cloud of bees launches into the sky, flying straight to the advertised location, as if guided by an invisible compass. What's more, bees adjust their dance as the sun moves across the sky, recalculating direction in real time. They even correct for wind and terrain, updating their map so the information stays accurate. It is a system as elegant as GPS, built not with satellites and algorithms, but with instinct and evolution. This discovery revolutionized science. For the first time, humans witnessed animals using a symbolic system, a code representing something not immediately present. It blurred the line between instinct and language, revealing that communication in the wild could be abstract, precise, and complex. Beneath the waves, dolphins carry on conversations that rival some of the most complex communication systems in the animal kingdom. To the human ear, their world is filled with high-pitched whistles and rapid clicks. But to dolphins, these sounds are more than noise. Their names, maps, warnings, and even what some scientists describe as words. Each dolphin is given a unique signature whistle, a kind of personal identifier, similar to a human name. When two dolphins meet, they exchange these whistles, announcing who they are. If separated, they call out using the signature whistle of the missing individual, almost like shouting a friend's name across a crowded room. This behavior suggests not only recognition, but also a sense of social identity. Beyond names, dolphins use rapid clicks for echolocation, sending out pulses that bounce off objects and return, painting an acoustic picture of their environment. Yet these clicks are not just for navigation. Researchers believe dolphins can layer information within these bursts, conveying not only that something is there, but also details about its size, shape, and even texture. In experiments, dolphins have been observed imitating the sounds of others, showing an ability to learn and adapt. Some studies even suggest that dolphins may use syntax-like structures, combining whistles and clicks in ways that carry different meanings. While debate continues, one thing is clear: dolphin communication is far from simple. What makes this even more astonishing is the emotional depth woven into their sounds. Playful whistles are exchanged during games. Distress calls ripple through pods when danger strikes, and mothers and calves engage in tender, almost musical exchanges. To humans, it may sound like a symphony of squeaks and squeals, but to dolphins, it's a living, breathing language of identity, cooperation, and emotion. A language that travels seamlessly through the ocean's depths, connecting individuals across distance. Deep in the African savanna, elephants move like silent giants. But while their footsteps may be quiet, their voices reach farther than almost any other land animal. The key? Infrasound, low-frequency rumbles so deep that the human ear cannot detect them. To us, it seems as though elephants simply rumble softly, but beneath those vibrations lies an entire hidden language. These infrasounds, often below 20 hertz, can travel through the air for several kilometers. Even more astonishing, they ripple through the ground itself, vibrating soil and rock. Other elephants pick up these vibrations not only with their sensitive ears, but also through receptors in their feet and trunks. Imagine an elephant herd spread across miles of grassland. A matriarch may signal a distant group that it's time to reunite at a watering hole, or warn them of predators approaching. A lone female in estrus might broadcast a readiness to mate, attracting bulls from kilometers away. Young calves, separated from their mothers, can send distress calls that resonate across the savanna until help arrives. What scientists once thought were simple noises turned out to be an intricate vocabulary. Researchers discovered that elephants use infrasound to coordinate migration, maintain social bonds, and even mourn their dead. When a matriarch passes away, her family's infrasound calls carry notes of distress, grief, and searching, evidence that their communication goes beyond mere survival into the realm of emotion. For humans, unlocking this secret language required technology, special microphones, and vibration sensors placed in the soil. Through these tools, we finally learned what elephants have known for millennia, that communication isn't limited to what we can hear. Entire conversations hum through the earth itself, hidden beneath the threshold of human perception. In a way, elephants remind us that the world is always speaking, even when we cannot hear it. When dawn breaks, the air fills with an orchestra that has played for millions of years, birdsong. To human ears, it may sound like simple music, but to the birds, these melodies are messages rich with meaning. Each note, trill, and whistle can mark territory, attract a mate, or warn of predators. Songbirds, in particular, are master vocalists. Many species learn their songs in a way strikingly similar to how humans acquire language, through imitation and practice. A young bird listens carefully to adults, memorizes their patterns, and then rehearses until its own voice matches the song of its species. This process reveals not just instinct, but learning and culture passed from one generation to the next. Different species use songs with remarkable precision. The nightingale produces over 200 distinct phrases, creating complex and varied performances to impress potential mates. Lyrebirds can mimic chainsaws, car alarms, and the calls of dozens of other birds, demonstrating not only vocal range, but also adaptability to their environments. Beyond beauty and mimicry, birdsong serves as an early warning system. A sharp, staccato call may ripple through the forest, alerting others to a predator's presence. In some cases, different species even learn to recognize each other's alarm calls, forming a shared communication network that crosses boundaries of kind and kin. Perhaps most striking of all is the evidence that bird songs evolve regionally, creating dialects much like human languages. A white-crowned sparrow in California may sing a slightly different tune than one in Oregon, and these variations persist through generations. For biologists, these regional accents suggest that bird populations carry not just genetic but also cultural identity. Birdsong is both science and art, an adaptive survival tool and an expression of life. What may sound like a simple serenade drifting on the breeze is, in truth, a carefully crafted message that binds together the birds. When we think of complex communication, we often look to mammals or birds. But some of the most sophisticated systems exist in creatures so small we might overlook them. Ants, for example, are master chemists. They rely on pheromones, invisible chemical signals, to guide the entire colony. A single ant that finds food can lay down a chemical trail, which others follow with astonishing precision. Within minutes, thousands are mobilized, creating living highways of foragers, all coordinated by scent. Each pheromone carries a different message, whether it's to recruit others, to signal danger, or even to indicate a queen's presence. To us, it's invisible. To them, it's as clear as spoken words. Bees, on the other hand, have perfected a form of dance language. Inside the hive, where it's too dark for maps or directions, worker bees perform the famous waggle dance. By shaking their bodies at specific angles and rhythms, they can tell their sisters exactly where flowers are located, even providing distance and direction relative to the sun's position. It's a form of symbolic communication, something once thought to be uniquely human. Together, ants and bees show us that language isn't always about sound. Sometimes it's a matter of scent trails or movements, carried out with mathematical precision. These tiny architects of communication remind us that complexity can come in the smallest of packages. What looks like instinct is, in fact, a highly evolved system for sharing knowledge, organizing societies, and ensuring survival. As the sun sets and night blankets the world, an entirely different language emerges, one made of light and rhythm. Fireflies are perhaps the most enchanting communicators of the dark. Each tiny insect carries its own lantern, glowing with bioluminescent flashes. But these flashes are far from random. Each species has a unique rhythm, like a coded signature. A male might signal with a particular pattern of pulses, and if a nearby female recognizes it, she responds with her own timed glow. This delicate dialogue ensures that mates find each other in the vast expanse of the night. What to us appears as magical flickering is, for fireflies, a courtship song written in light. Crickets, on the other hand, fill the night with sound. Their chirps are more than background noise. They are structured messages. A cricket rubs its wings together not aimlessly, but at a precise frequency that can indicate different meanings. Some chirps are invitations to mates, while others serve as warnings to rivals. In fact, temperature itself can change the rhythm of a cricket's call, making it not only a song of attraction, but also an environmental signal. Together, fireflies and crickets demonstrate that communication can transcend the boundaries of sight and hearing. One uses light, painting coded flashes across the dark landscape, while the other creates a symphony of sound that echoes through the still night. Their languages are reminders that every corner of the natural world hums with conversation, even when we are barely aware of it. When summer peaks in many parts of the world, the air vibrates with a sound that cannot be ignored, the deafening chorus of cicadas. Unlike crickets who rub their wings to create sound, cicadas have a unique instrument built into their bodies. On the sides of their abdomen lie tiny drum-like structures called tymbals. By rapidly contracting special muscles, cicadas make these tymbals buckle inward, producing a sharp click. Repeated hundreds of times per second, those clicks merge into the powerful drone we hear blanketing forests and fields. But cicadas are not simply making noise for the sake of it. Each species has a distinct call pattern, some with rapid pulses, others with drawn-out buzzing. These sounds are primarily love songs. Males sing to attract females, their calls traveling far and wide through the humid summer air. In response, females provide subtle wing flick replies, signaling their interest. What may sound to us like chaotic buzzing is, in fact, an intricate dialogue of timing, rhythm, and resonance. There is also power in numbers. Cicadas often emerge in staggering synchrony, millions, even billions, appearing at once after years underground. Their collective songs form an overwhelming wall of sound, sometimes reaching over 100 decibels, louder than a motorcycle engine. This mass communication strategy not only helps them find mates, but also provides protection. Predators become overwhelmed, unable to eat enough cicadas to make a dent in their massive populations. The cicada's thunderous symphony is one of nature's grandest spectacles of communication. Part survival strategy, part love story, and part sheer declaration of presence. They remind us that even the smallest of creatures can fill the world with voices powerful enough to shape entire ecosystems. In the bustling world of the honeybee hive, communication takes a form so remarkable that scientists once doubted it was even possible. When a worker bee discovers a rich source of nectar or pollen, she does not simply return and buzz about excitedly. Instead, she performs an elegant and precise ritual known as the waggle dance. On the vertical surface of a honeycomb, she moves in a looping figure-8 pattern. During the central waggle run, her abdomen vibrates rapidly as she moves in a straight line. The angle of this run, relative to the vertical axis of the comb, encodes the direction of the food source in relation to the sun. The speed and intensity of her waggle indicate the distance. Short, vigorous runs for nearby flowers, slower, drawn-out ones for faraway meadows. Other bees gather around, touching her with their antennae to interpret the vibrations. Through this astonishing code, one small insect can guide hundreds of sisters directly to a food source miles away. Even more impressive, the dance adapts as the sun moves across the sky, showing that bees are capable of compensating for time and celestial motion. This is not just a communication system. It is a shared map of the world, an internal GPS network built into the hive's collective intelligence. With their dances, bees keep the colony nourished, coordinated, and thriving. The waggle dance is one of the clearest demonstrations that communication in nature can be symbolic and abstract, not just instinctive cries or calls. Within the dark chambers of a beehive, a silent ballet of meaning unfolds, a language written not in words, but in movement and vibration. On warm summer nights, the forests and meadows of the world come alive with tiny sparks of light. Fireflies, or lightning bugs, use bioluminescence not only as a dazzling display, but as a highly structured form of communication. Each species of firefly has its own distinct light pattern. Some flash in quick bursts, others glow in long pulses, and a few create elaborate sequences. These signals are not random flickers, but deliberate codes, designed to attract mates, ward off rivals, or in some cases, lure unsuspecting prey. A male firefly, for example, flies in the darkness, sending out his species-specific flash sequence. If a female of the same species waits in the grass below, she responds with her own answering light at precisely timed intervals. This back-and-forth dialogue creates a rhythm, a luminous conversation across the night air. But in the insect world, not every message is honest. Some firefly species, such as the notorious photuries, mimic the mating signals of others. When an eager male responds, he does not find a partner, but instead becomes dinner. Communication, even in nature, can involve deception as well as truth. The brilliance of fireflies is not only a spectacle for us to admire. It is a reminder that communication extends far beyond sound or sight in the human sense. Here, in the darkness, insects have developed a language of light, one that transforms an entire meadow into a living constellation. For centuries, humans have marveled at fireflies, often seeing them as symbols of fleeting beauty. But for the insects themselves, these glowing sparks are messages of survival, courtship, and cunning, a dance of light that speaks volumes in silence. On warm summer nights, the forests and meadows of the world come alive with tiny sparks of light. Fireflies, or lightning bugs, use bioluminescence not only as a dazzling display, but as a highly structured form of communication. Each species of firefly has its own distinct light pattern. Some flash in quick bursts, others glow in long pulses, and a few create elaborate sequences. These signals are not random flickers, but deliberate codes, designed to attract mates, ward off rivals, or in some cases, lure unsuspecting prey. A male firefly, for example, flies in the darkness, sending out his species-specific flash sequence. If a female of the same species waits in the grass below, she responds with her own answering light at precisely timed intervals. This back-and-forth dialogue creates a rhythm, a luminous conversation across the night air. But in the insect world, not every message is honest. Some firefly species, such as the notorious photuries, mimic the mating signals of others. When an eager male responds, he does not find a partner, but instead becomes dinner. Communication, even in nature, can involve deception as well as truth. The brilliance of fireflies is not only a spectacle for us to admire. It is a reminder that communication extends far beyond sound or sight in the human sense. Here, in the darkness, insects have developed a language of light, one that transforms an entire meadow into a living constellation. For centuries, humans have marveled at fireflies, often seeing them as symbols of fleeting beauty. But for the insects themselves, these glowing sparks are messages of survival, courtship, and cunning, a dance of light that speaks volumes in silence. As the sun sets and the world quiets, wetlands come alive with one of nature's most iconic soundscapes, the chorus of frogs. To human ears, these croaks and rib bits may sound repetitive, but to the frogs themselves, each call carries a specific message. Male frogs use their voices primarily to attract mates, inflating vocal sacs that resonate like natural amplifiers across ponds and marshes. Each species has its own signature call, ensuring females recognize and choose the correct partner even in a crowded chorus. But frog calls are more than just love songs. Some species vary pitch, rhythm, and volume depending on environmental conditions, rival males nearby, or even potential predators. Tree frogs, for example, adjust their calls to be heard over rushing water, while tongue-arrow frogs in Central America add extra notes to their calls when females are listening, though this also increases their risk of attracting predators like bats. This delicate balance between desire and danger makes their communication both beautiful and perilous. The combined effect of hundreds of frogs calling together creates a pulsating wall of sound, sometimes reaching decibel levels comparable to a rock concert. These symphonies are not random noise, but finely tuned conversations that dictate who reproduces, who retreats, and who survives. In their watery arenas, frogs prove that even the simplest sounding calls can form a complex, dynamic language, shaping both relationships and survival in the darkness of the night. In the boundless blue of the oceans, few sounds are as haunting or powerful as the songs of whales. These deep, Resonant calls travel for hundreds, even thousands of kilometers through water, making whales some of the most far-reaching communicators on Earth. Humpback whales are particularly famous for their elaborate songs. Long, patterned sequences that can last up to 30 minutes and be repeated for hours at a time. To us, they sound like music. Moans, howls, cries, and rhythmic pulses woven together into a symphony of the sea. But for whales, these songs are more than mere melody. Male humpbacks sing to attract mates, and entire populations share the same song, which slowly evolves over time. Imagine an entire ocean-wide choir where every member learns the new verses as the years pass. A cultural transmission that rivals human traditions in complexity. Other whale species use different styles of communication. Blue whales produce low-frequency rumbles, some below the range of human hearing, that can cross entire ocean basins. Sperm whales, in contrast, use rapid clicking sounds, called codas, which carry identity, social ties, and even dialects unique to specific clans. These vocalizations highlight not only the sophistication of whale societies, but also the importance of sound in an environment where sight is limited. In the deep ocean, sound is survival. Calls warn of predators, coordinate group hunting, and strengthen bonds between mothers and calves. They are lifelines in a world where silence could mean isolation. The tragedy is that human-made noise, from shipping, drilling, and sonar, is increasingly drowning out this ancient language. Whale communication, once limitless in reach, is now fragmented by a growing wall of industrial sound. Yet, each time a whale's song rises above the din, it reminds us that even in the planet's deepest and darkest places, the language of life continues to sing. If whales are the singers of the sea, dolphins are its conversationalists. These highly social mammals have developed one of the most sophisticated communication systems known in the animal kingdom. Using a combination of whistles, clicks, and body movements, dolphins exchange information that guides nearly every aspect of their lives. Among their most fascinating behaviors is the use of signature whistles. Unique sound patterns that function almost like names. Each dolphin develops its own whistle early in life, and others in the pod use it to call out, identify, or reunite with that individual. This means that when a dolphin says a whistle, it's not just a generic signal. It's directed to a specific companion, like us calling a friend by name. Their communication doesn't stop there. Dolphins produce rapid-fire clicks for echolocation, a biological sonar that lets them navigate murky waters, find prey, and even detect the heartbeat of another animal. What's even more remarkable is how they combine this sensory tool with social communication, sometimes using clicks not just to map the environment, but also to share information with the group. Playfulness, too, is part of dolphin dialogue. They slap their tails, leap from the water, or exchange bubble rings. Physical gestures that strengthen bonds and coordinate group hunting strategies. In cooperative hunts, dolphins align their movements with near-perfect precision, proving that their language is as much about action as it is about sound. Scientists are still unraveling the full depth of dolphin communication. Some evidence even suggests they may combine whistles and clicks in ways that resemble syntax, a building block of human language. If true, dolphins may be far closer to having a structured language than we ever imagined. But just like whales, dolphins face challenges. Noise pollution, fishing nets, and habitat destruction threaten to muffle their voices. While whales sing across the vast oceans and dolphins chatter in playful whistles, seals and sea lions bring the drama of communication to the shores. These marine mammals live much of their lives at the boundary between land and sea, and their voices are just as unique as their habitats. Seals are famous for their deep, resonant calls, which echo through icy waters and across rocky beaches. Male harbor seals, for instance, produce haunting underwater songs during mating season, using low-frequency moans and growls to advertise their strength and attract potential mates. These calls can travel long distances, carrying their message even through murky waters. Sea lions, on the other hand, are the barkers of the ocean world. Their sharp, loud barks aren't just noise. They're territorial announcements, warnings to rivals, and signals of dominance. On crowded beaches where thousands of individuals gather, these calls cut through the chaos, helping mothers reunite with their pups and males defend their hard-earned territories. What's striking is the individual recognition in their communication. Just like dolphins' signature whistles, sea lion mothers and pups recognize each other's voices within days of birth. Amid the cacophony of a bustling rookery, a pup can identify its mother's call and push its way through the crowd to reunite. This ability is not just convenient, it's survival, ensuring pups don't starve or get lost in the frenzy. But seals and sea lions don't only rely on sound. They use body language, too. Head tosses, fin slaps, and posturing often serve as silent but powerful statements of intent. A raised head or a lunge can send a clear warning without the need for a single bark. Together, these animals illustrate how communication adapts to different environments. Deep water, sandy shores, and crowded colonies all shape the way messages are delivered. Their voices, whether eerie songs or sharp barks, are part of the rhythm of coastal ecosystems. When we think of communication, we often imagine sounds, songs, or signals that travel through the air or water. But what if the forest itself is whispering? Beneath the soil, hidden from our eyes, lies one of the most extraordinary communication networks on Earth, the Wood Wide Web. Trees are not silent, isolated giants. Through their roots, and with the help of fungi called mycorrhizae, they trade information, nutrients, and warnings. When one tree is attacked by insects, it can send chemical alerts through this underground web, warning its neighbors to boost their defenses. When a seedling struggles in the shade, nearby mother trees may funnel carbon and water to help it survive. This network acts like a living internet, connecting different species in vast communities that share, cooperate, and sometimes even compete in subtle, unseen ways. Scientists have discovered that forests have a kind of memory, passing along signals about droughts, dangers, and opportunities. It is a reminder that communication is not limited to voices, songs, or movements. Sometimes it is invisible, flowing quietly underground, keeping the entire ecosystem alive. The language of life is far richer and more mysterious than we ever imagined. Beneath the ocean's surface lives one of the most mysterious communicators in the animal kingdom, the octopus. Unlike birds that sing or whales that call, octopuses speak through an entirely different language, a living canvas of colors, textures, and body movements. An octopus has thousands of pigment cells, called chromatophores, embedded in its skin. By expanding or contracting these cells, it can instantly shift from pale white to fiery red to deep black. But this is not just camouflage, it's communication. A bright, bold display may warn a predator to stay away. Gentle rippling hues can signal curiosity or calmness. During courtship, males often flash distinct patterns to show their interest, while rivals may challenge one another with competing waves of color. But color is only half the message. Octopuses can also raise tiny bumps and spikes across their skin, changing its texture to resemble coral, rocks, or even poisonous sea creatures. This texture shifting doesn't just hide them, it conveys mood and intent. A smooth, flowing skin might suggest neutrality, while sudden spikiness can warn back off. Body posture adds yet another layer. By spreading arms wide, curling them tightly, or shifting into dramatic shapes, octopuses amplify their signals, combining color, texture, and motion into a complex visual performance. Cuttlefish and squids share this ability, but the octopus takes it to extremes, using its entire body as a dynamic billboard of emotion and intent. To us, it looks like art in motion, but to other sea creatures, it's a clear and urgent language. Scientists are only beginning to decode this silent vocabulary. What seems like a mesmerizing display may, in fact, be a precise sentence, a warning, a flirtation, a challenge, or a plea. The octopus reminds us that communication isn't always about sound. Sometimes it's about becoming the message itself. In the frozen wilderness and sun-scorched savannas, wolves and wild dogs live by one essential truth. Survival depends on the strength of the pack. But how do they coordinate hunts, share emotions, or maintain order? Through a rich and layered language of howls, barks, growls, whines, and body cues. A wolf's howl is one of nature's most iconic sounds. To human ears, it may seem haunting and singular, but within a pack, it carries layered meaning, a rallying cry before the hunt, a beacon to reunite scattered members, or a warning to rival packs. Each howl has a unique pitch and rhythm, almost like a signature, allowing wolves to recognize individuals even from miles away. Wild dogs of Africa, on the other hand, use high-pitched twittering calls and an extraordinary form of communication known as the sneeze vote. Before a hunt, the group gathers. Some members sneeze as a way to signal readiness. If enough sneezes occur, the hunt begins, an astonishing example of democratic decision-making in the animal kingdom. Vocalizations are only one part of the conversation. Subtle body language, ears flattened, tails raised, postures lowered, speaks volumes about dominance, submission, excitement, or caution. A raised tail might mean leadership, while crouched ears may signal deference. Puppies whine to beg for food, and adults lick muzzles to reinforce bonds, weaving affection into the very fabric of pack life. What emerges is not just communication, but culture. Packs operate like tightly woven families, passing down hunting strategies, rally cries, and bonding rituals across generations. Whether it's wolves under the moonlight or wild dogs streaking across the savannah, their language binds them into one of nature's most efficient social units. The voices of the pack remind us that language, in any form, is not just about words. It's about unity, trust, and survival. Among the most expressive communicators in the animal kingdom are primates, our close evolutionary relatives. From chimpanzees and gorillas to macaques and bonobos, primates rely on a complex blend of vocal calls, gestures, facial expressions, and touch to navigate their intricate social worlds. Chimpanzees, for instance, use more than 60 distinct gestures. A hand wave might mean come here, an outstretched arm signals a request for grooming, while a rhythmic stomp can initiate play. These gestures are not random. They are intentional and often repeated until the other individual responds, almost like sentences in an ongoing conversation. Vocal calls are equally significant. Vervet monkeys are famous for having specific alarm calls for different predators. One for eagles, another for leopards, and yet another for snakes. Each call triggers a distinct survival response. Climb trees, hide in bushes, or scan the ground, showing that meaning is embedded in sound. But primate communication goes far beyond survival. It is the glue of their social lives. Bonobos, known for their peaceful societies, use gentle touches, embraces, and even soft vocalizations to diffuse tension and strengthen alliances. Grooming, too, is a deeply symbolic act, part hygiene, part social bonding, part diplomacy. Facial expressions provide another layer of nuance. A chimp's open-mouthed play face signals harmless fun, while a bare-teeth grimace communicates fear or submission. These subtle cues allow primates to maintain harmony, avoid conflict, and build trust within groups that can number in the dozens. What makes primate communication especially fascinating is its striking similarity to our own. When a gorilla points, or a chimpanzee taps another to get attention, we are reminded that the roots of human language may well lie in these ancient gestural conversations of the forest. Primates show us that communication is more than words. It is intention, emotion, and connection. When night falls and the air grows heavy with moisture, a hidden orchestra awakens. Frogs and toads, often overlooked creatures of ponds and forests, reveal one of the most extraordinary soundscapes in nature. Their voices, croaks, trills, whistles, and booming calls are not just random noises. They are messages carefully crafted to carry through darkness, across water, and deep into the night. For male frogs, the call is both a declaration and an invitation. Each species has its own unique vocal signature, a sonic fingerprint that ensures the right message reaches the right audience. Some produce deep, resonant croaks that ripple like thunder through a swamp, while others sing delicate, high-pitched trills that shimmer like silver threads in the air. These songs announce territory, advertise health, and most importantly, attract mates. Females are highly discerning listeners. They choose partners not just by the volume of a call, but by its pitch, rhythm, and stamina. A strong, consistent song tells her that the male is healthy, resilient, and genetically fit. In this way, the nighttime chorus is more than a competition. It's a living concert of survival and reproduction. But frog communication goes beyond courtship. Some species use alarm calls when danger approaches, sending others leaping for safety. Others synchronize their calls with neighbors, creating rhythmic waves of sound that confuse predators and amplify the chorus. Remarkably, in large gatherings, hundreds of males can produce a wall of sound so loud it can be heard over a mile away. To the human ear, this may sound like simple noise, but to the frogs and toads, it is rich with meaning. Each pulse, croak, and vibration is part of a coded language that has existed for millions of years. In their voices, we hear the timeless dialogue between survival and desire, individual and community. The next time you pass a pond at night and hear the symphony of frogs, listen closely. Across the forests, oceans, skies, and even beneath the soil, life is in constant conversation. Birds sing to defend their territory, whales send songs across entire oceans, bees dance to map food sources, and ants exchange invisible chemical codes. These voices of the wild remind us of something profound. Communication is not unique to humans. It is a universal thread woven into the very fabric of life on Earth. For centuries, we believed animals were driven by instinct alone, but science is proving otherwise. Their signals carry meaning, complexity, and intention. Some species have dialects, others give themselves names, and still others exchange messages that outlast generations. The more we listen, the more we realize that we are surrounded by an ancient, ongoing dialogue, one that predates us and will continue long after we are gone. Yet these voices grow fainter. Noise pollution in the oceans disrupts whales' long-distance calls. Expanding cities silence the natural symphonies of birds and frogs. When we lose species, we do not just lose bodies. We lose entire languages, entire ways of experiencing the world. Preserving biodiversity means preserving communication itself, the unwritten library of life's voices. The future of understanding animal communication lies at the intersection of science, technology, and empathy. Artificial intelligence is already helping decode dolphin whistles, elephant rumbles, and even prairie dog alarm calls. Each discovery brings us closer to a radical possibility. One day, humans may be able to hold conversations with other species in ways we can scarcely imagine today. But whether or not that day comes, one truth remains. These languages deserve to be heard, respected, and protected. If you've been inspired by this journey into the secret languages of the wild, help us share it. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us for more explorations into the hidden lives of animals. The more we learn to listen, the more we realize we are not alone in this world. Every chirp, every song, every rustle in the leaves is part of Earth's great conversation. So, the next time you step outside, pause and listen. Nature is speaking. The question is, are we listening back?